I've been in parts of, I would say, machine learning AI for a long time. I like is applying AI to the real world problems. So I was thinking, maybe I should use a Raspberry Pi to actually figure out how many cars there truly are, using a model. So it's just like more of a fun thing. I have no interest of being an expert in Workday and Rippling by any means. Like I'm a founder, I have no interest in being an expert in these softwares. No, almost daily we're not there, but like I think we'll be much faster at a weekly frequency. I think we can be faster. Right now it's like much stronger for us.
This is Rohir, and you are in our exclusive interview series where we highlight stories of stakeholders that are working in AI industry. We are building a community that talks about all about artificial intelligence. We write blogs, guides, how-tos, just to make AI more accessible, easier, for businesses and for end users.
First of all, excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I've been in parts of, I would say, machine learning AI for a long time. I'm originally from India and I'm an engineer by background, so software engineer. And I got started with my journey in machine learning, without any, intention or push from me. It's just like I landed in a team back in Microsoft where they wanted me to train classifiers. And I'm like, I have no idea what a classifier is. So that's how it started. It was not like I knew a lot about AI or those kind of things. It's just like you land in the team at the right time, and I had to learn on the go. I was lucky enough to get colleagues, mentors, managers along the way who nudge me, help me with the learnings and kind of thing. So one thing led to another. I developed an interest, and I went from there to pursue my career at LinkedIn, and then actually went to Stanford for like a couple of machine learning classes and such. And that's how I kind of got into it. I would not call myself an AI researcher or anything like that. The thing I like is applying AI to the real world problems, and that's how Truva came to be. I'll give an example. The place I live in, I feel like the street in front of my home has too many cars. So I was thinking, maybe I should use a Raspberry Pi to actually figure out how many cars there truly are, using a model. So it's just like more of a fun thing. But yeah, I like thinking in that fashion. So idea for Truva came to be via my co-founder, Anusha. I think she was very excited about the LLM space overall, and her thinking was like she used AWS on a daily basis. Like AWS, if you're logged into these systems, these are very overwhelming interfaces, and you typically want to do like a very small thing in that entire interface. So you have, even for AWS, you would want to learn things, but like let's take an example of an HR software now, Rippling, Workday. I have no interest of being an expert in Workday and Rippling by any means. Like I'm a founder, I have no interest in being an expert in these softwares. So I just want to get my job done, which is like changing payroll, adding things, adding employee leave, whatever, and just get done and back to where I really want to have fun or focus. And that was the initial thinking. We had no idea that there is a space named digital adoption platform, or like there are like tools around it. So that was the initial thinking. And then one thing led to another, and we realized, okay, there is a space named digital adoption platform. There are like large companies who are solving it for in-house players, employees. Then there are companies who are solving it for outside players. And product tools were a thing. We realized that with the new advent of agents, you can actually make it much more personalized and maybe can eliminate a few things. Like when I log into software, I don't want to go through the entire product tool where I'm like, hey, there are like 10 steps, 50 steps I want to go. But if I just skip this tool, how do I bring it back? It's just all a painful process for me. And when I have a problem, I want to just reach out to the customer support, because like there's no one attached to our account many times, because we're a small company, we're a startup, So these are the problems we felt like can be addressed in a more cohesive way. And that's the idea of, like an AI agent account manager who can, solve a lot of these problems as a package to us. Yeah, it's a very competitive market. Like on customer onboarding, like this product flows and everything is a very competitive market. It has been in this space for like close to 10 years. How we think of ourselves is like we are this agent which lives in your app. You come to us, you tell us what you want to get done, and we'll tell you the best way to get it done. Basically, you don't need to be an expert in the system. How we will help you do that is we can just tell you via like a chat reply. If there's something that is simple enough to be done, we'll just do it. So as an example, if you go to a CRM and you say, hey, get me the insights about a particular deal, and calculate like a certain kind of score, which is the forecasting score they have. So using your logic and your rules, we can just do that for you. You don't need to go through, summarize, read all the content and actually synthesize. Third, if we cannot do either of them, then we can trigger personalized tools for you. One of the issue with these product tools are, like as I said, once I skip it, I have no idea how to bring it back. And I have this FOMO anxiety. But with our agent in app, I can just say, hey, show me how to change my personalization setting in a software. It can guide me through it. If there is no API, if there's an API, we can just say, hey, which setting you want to get changed, and get it done. So that's the user side of the story. On the the person who's setting up the software, like the software provider, typically what they had to do is they had to it would take months for them to actually plan all the possible tools. Or even in the AI world, they were using things like Google Dialogflow and these kind of things, where they have to come up with all the possible ways that users can start in a conversation with their system, which would need a small team, would take, as I said, like weeks, if not months. And you need someone to actually always maintain it. Do you want to develop it expertise in-house? That's where we come in. We kind of take care of all this complexity and have it like a very turnkey, easy to use solution for you. We started as a plugin, and that's what we launched last month, where we don't have official integration with large softwares like HubSpot and these kind of players, but we are an app on the marketplace, and it's a Chrome plugin that you can use. And we have been getting these apps in the hands of customers using partner strategy. So there are people who implement HubSpot for businesses. There are people who implement Pipedrive for businesses. So we are working with these partners to actually get our app in the hands of the end customer. And from these guys, we have seen up to 25% improvement in the time to implement and actually get things done. There are a lot of issues with the CRM systems. As an example, data duplication. People actually just create multiple entries with the same human. So if Gaurav is already in your CRM, another guy will create another Gaurav, which is I'm the same Gaurav, right? So it's the duplicate data. People will add it's the basic form filling if you think about this, but people need nudges and those kind of things to get the data right. And if your data is not right in a CRM, the entire leadership is actually relying on incorrect data, basically. It's a work in progress right now. We just got started last couple of months from our standpoint, and I think there are a couple of challenges. One is it's a technically challenging product because people don't want to give full context. Even I would not do it. Again, take an example of CRM. If I'm on a deal, I want to say, hey, create a follow-up, send the meeting invite to the stakeholders. Follow-up to what? What's a follow-up, first of all? How do you create a follow-up? Who's a stakeholder? So there's a lot of information you have to infer from the context. We will figure out from this way, a particular page you are on, is this a deal page? If it's a deal page, which deal is it? Who's the stakeholder? How the follow-up is, and create all these agentic, so there is an agent responsible for each of these steps. So that is the complexity, and trying to reduce it in a sizable, human-friendly time is a big challenge for us. Being able to do it in a small amount of time. And second, I guess it's more human, where for some of the customers or leads we're talking to, they are, hey, I really like this, but they are really concerned about AI. They are AI is like a Terminator kind of thing. If it is in my system, I don't know how I trust it. Which is, there are news and things going on around it, so they are a bit concerned on that. So we're trying to figure out how we can best cater to those apprehensions. As I described, so basically sit in your app. It's kind of like a widget. Either you just inject a JavaScript snippet to show us up in your app, or there's a Chrome plugin. So depending on the kind of integration we have with the system. And it's like a small widget that shows up. The widget, you can chat, you can search, you can actually just tell your problem and come up with the answers. Can trigger workflows for you. So it's like a small thing that kind of either show as a side panel, if it's a Chrome extension play, or it shows as a widget. The time to get started with Truva, I think is something I'm really proud of. As I said, if you use Dialogflow today, you'll have to figure out, it's an ISO basically. Take all the possible ways you can start a conversation, what needs to be done. So it's like a flow chart you're creating with all possible combinations. First of all, not everyone thinks in that structured, logical manner. It's a very engineering-driven thing. And if you're a growth marketer or if you're like a CSM, you want to make your customers happy. You're not interested in, this entire flow chart kind of stuff. It'll again take you like long time. You need to get engineering resources. But for us, our agents take care of a lot of these complex things. So 90% of work is on us. For you, it's more of approval or, enable disablement. So if you're not comfortable, agents do certain things. You can just say, hey, don't do it for me. Don't change anything in this setting. So because that's the Terminator theory, you can just remove those things. So we will not be aware that that's possible. So we are adding like an event tracking things where the system is self-learning, but the learning cycle is pretty long. It's like weeks where like we track all the user feedback. So as an example, so this comes from my background in search engines, where if you search restaurants in Palo Alto and you go and click on the second result, that means you didn't like the first result, because first result you must have seen before, right? So it's a feedback, subconscious feedback. Similarly is the case with the R agent. If there's conversation going on and what you do after that conversation tells us whether you are satisfied with the conversation or satisfied with the action, the tools or not. With sufficient data, our models can actually improve. And, we are trying to make it improve at a much faster pace. Almost daily, we're not there, but I think we'll be much faster at a weekly frequency. I think we can be faster. Right now, it's much stronger for us. I would talk into customer experience. So customer service and support is like one bucket of it. I think people are going towards a very short attention span. So that is where the market is headed towards. Ideally, if we can, figure out users are stuck in this. I'll give you an example. I think Figma is a very interesting tool where I was using Figma for something back in the day. And I don't know, I probably did some clicks or whatever. And Figma figured out, okay, this guy is confused. We're like, hey, do you want to do this? So that was like a guess Figma made. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. I wish all the products had this kind of experience. I think that's the experience people are going towards. But you have to be very careful. You're not bugging users every time. You have to get it right. And that's how you will create the aha moment. I think I'm a big fan of agents approach. Back in the day, again, going back, reinforcement learning is how you made agents. And that was a very math-driven approach. Even in my 10 years in large companies and different hobby projects, I barely used agents. But with the advent of these LLM agents, it's much easier to actually create agents with certain optimization functions. So imagine like a small team of folks with different roles assigned to them and being able to cater to problems. I think these folks are still naive. I would say they are more of like interns, but as the progress will be made, they will get smarter and smarter. So I think that's where you will see a lot of action and improvement on the AI side for foreseeable future. I think next decade or so is for the agent is my feeling. Ideally, if I had all the time in the world, I would love to read research papers, but I actually do read, summaries of research papers. I follow some very interesting blogs. There's actually a very interesting newsletter, Alpha Signal, that I follow, and they're folks whom I follow, like Jan from Facebook, deeplearning.ai by Andrew Ng. So I do follow all these good people, and as something really interests me, I do read research papers, but probably one in 20 times. I don't get enough time to go through entire research papers. To be honest, I think all startups are the same unless you're doing a foundation model. Foundation model, if you're building a foundation model, that's a very capital intensive business. It's basically like medical research in my opinion, how medical research startups are. For everyone who's doing an applied AI, kind of folks we are fine tuning at best, but we are not really doing a foundation model training. So we are almost the same like any other startup. Idea is to work with first few set of customers. We are in the pilot phase, working with them, proving our value. We don't want to prematurely scale, prove our value, cater to all the problems that they are having. I told you about the apprehension about the Terminator thing. We have to overcome that. Otherwise, we have issues as a business. So cater to that and then kind of scale from there. We have a small team right now. We're based in Mountain View, California, and we are striving towards our goal with on a daily basis, grinding towards it. It's a very flat hierarchy. We don't have any manager or anything. It's a very flat hierarchy. Everyone has goals and we give extreme autonomy. So like as an example, like we have this open mandate. If there is any SaaS tool that you think will make you more productive and it's less than a certain dollar figure, like, let me know. We'll just get it. Like, because productivity is the most important point in my opinion. And all of us are from like mix of startups and large companies, most of my team. So we kind of, inculcate the best of these large companies like, folks from Facebook, Google, Amazon, also startups like export. So we have this good mix of culture and we just are taking the best from everyone, every place that we have been. I think when I'm on a call with a customer and they're like, I've been having issue doing this, and I'm like, yeah, that is what exactly I thought. Like I told you about that dial-up flow thing and figuring out things. Someone whose actual job is to build that will understand the pain it takes them to actually build this. If a people manager, you haven't done it yourself, so you will not appreciate the complexity or the time someone needs to actually do it. So whenever I'm talking to an actual stakeholder who's doing things by their own hand, they're like, that's the aha moment. Yeah, that's a validation towards the problem you're solving. I think I would still be very much part of a technology in some part, either maybe like working for some place, mostly working in a space. And I'm very fascinated with, overall the AI space. So I would either be in a data infra team myself, or I would be in applied AI, in some place. I think there's a very interesting line I read somewhere where AI will not replace human jobs, but AI will replace human jobs that are not using AI, which I think is true. If you think about this, there's less, hierarchy of, I would say, knowledge working jobs, basically. Like there are like clerk jobs, and then all the way up, they are like researchers or, strategic thinkers, business leaders kind of thing. They need data. So a lot of these jobs, like as an example, data entry was a big job back in the day. Now data entry is like significantly automated. So humans would have to move in this sort of hierarchy on the highest scale. We would have to be towards a knowledge worker. We'll have to be towards a problem solving person as compared to, doing like a standard data entry job or, those kind of things. Like people are about this Gen AI, it's going to replace musicians and, graphic designers. I don't think completely they will replace it. They will do a better design than me. I'm not a graphic designer by any means. AI will replace me as a graphic designer. I'm very confident on that. It's still not there. Maybe in 50 years it will be there, but I don't think in the next 5-10 years it will be there. Creative with a human sense of problem solving. We just started doing it. So we were like, hey, we should also do that first. I think there's one thing that I knew, but I've been validating this theory. When I was starting this startup, I thought there are like two types of entrepreneurs. Type 1 are folks who are already in the space that they are doing a startup in. For example, like doing a PhD or working in like a large company. They worked on a project that got open source and that's a startup. They have been on it for a long time and they had no intention of being an entrepreneur. It's just like opportunity came to be and they were very smart people and they started it. So that's one bucket. Second bucket is folks who just want to do a startup for different weird reasons, and they will try a lot of different things. And I thought like there can be both types of entrepreneur, but I've come to realization that actually everyone's type 2 will have to become type 1 eventually. So you'll have to learn in the space that you are playing in. You have to be an expert, almost a world-renowned expert in the space you're playing in. We just got started from our own journey and, we are marching towards our first few set of case study, converting the pilot that we have in the works and actually proving our value and then, working from there. We are heads down working, hoping to get some case studies out soon. If you think Truva can add value in your software, so feel free to book a demo from Truva.ai. That will set up a demo with me, one of my co-founders. And if you want to follow me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So drop me a message. I'm always happy to help if I can. I would just encourage them to actually keep doing what they're doing. Be strategic, learn. There are a lot of resources. My community is a great resource. There's a lot of smart people out there. You will not be that clear that people are willing to help. It's just they are busy. So just cold messages can actually change your life. Feel free to reach out to people. Worst case, they'll not reply. It's okay.